Hi, so today I wanted to talk more about the real root of emotional eating. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist and emotional eating expert. And I wanted to dive deeper into the real root of emotional eating, where it sort of begins and what's really going on deeper in the surface. And part of the reason I want to talk about it is that I think we, for far too long, and I was in the same boat as you when I was thinking about my emotional eating, for far too long, we've kept thinking it's something on the surface, that our emotional eating is something on the surface that we need to deal with. That's, we need to learn how to control our bodies, our hunger. We need to be more disciplined and have more willpower. But this is just getting at the surface. This is such a surface solution. And I was there too, trying all the different diets and exercise and really having so much willpower and putting in so much effort into how I was going to change my body, control it, because if I finally attained that, body that I wanted, I thought I would be acceptable, I would be loved. And so if we even think about what are we chasing, we want to feel at ease in our body and around food. We want to feel good. We want to feel acceptable. We want to feel loved. These are the things we're wanting. But changing our body and controlling our body is not going to give us that result, no matter how much it's marketed and sold to you. So we need to dive into the true root of what's going on in order to create a true solution that is going to be lasting. And so this is what I had to discover through all of my trial and error. I tried and failed for many years, and I'm a pretty determined person. So I probably try and fail a lot more than most people before I sort of glean the little wisdom and I put it all together and then I create a new way. And so that's what I did. I tried all the different diets, and through my journey with emotional eating, I really thought it was something wrong with my body, something wrong with me. I didn't feel good enough. And I really wanted to look a certain way to get that acceptance and that, whatever it was, that tangible love or whatever I thought I was going after. But after failing so much and really hitting a huge rock bottom, I realized I had to dive deeper. And as I went deeper into emotional eating and I started to get into the root of it and connecting the pieces, what I discovered was that emotional eating really begins when we're very young. We are modeled this by our parents. We either see them doing it, we figure out this is a way to cope with our uncomfortable emotions. We kind of discover that ourselves, and we use it as a coping mechanism to deal with all of our discomfort. And so when we're really young and we're using this, we don't really notice anything in our body. We might not notice we might not care that we feel a little bit out of control around food because it's not showing up in our body. We're not being judged for our emotional eating. No one's really seeing us doing it. But when it starts showing up physically in our body as excess weight, as health issues, then we really have to look at the root, which we think is constantly eating. We need to stop that. But there's a deeper root, and it goes into our patterns. It goes into our coping mechanism. And, from a very young age, we decided that we're going to use food to cover something up. So the real root is not the emotional eating or the food or the eating. It's deeper than that. It goes into our emotions and being able to be with them and understanding them and processing unresolved events in our life. For the most part, most of society doesn't know how to do this. If you're not coping with food, you're coping with something else. You're coping with over-exercising, or you're coping with social media, or distracting yourself, or constantly being busy. We use so many different coping mechanisms because we weren't taught about our emotions. We weren't taught about what's really going on at this deeper level, and even how to be comfortable around our emotions, how to process them. We weren't modeled this. This is what we needed modeling around from our parents, but we weren't given this. And so what happens is that over time, it starts just snowballing. And as we get older, all we see is the result of our pattern that began in such a small way when we're really young, and it starts showing up in our body. So it started as an emotion. It started more like something we thought, And then it created physically what we are struggling with, which is consuming food, obsessing about food, trying to control our bodies and control the food, using the food to cope with our emotions. And so the solution is to get into those patterns. So part of the solution, the biggest solution, because that is the core, that's the root, is the emotion, is to get into the emotion. But it's not that easy. When we have these patterns, they're in our subconscious, our unconscious mind, which is 95%, has a 95% of the power, and 5% is our conscious mind. So we need a way to get into our unconscious mind, which is what I do with clients through somatic meditations, get into the pattern, resolve it, and create a new way of being. And this is really powerful. This is more powerful than, we can do this through journaling and consciously trying to keep up the habit, but that's going to take a lot of repetition and a long time. And it might, we usually fall back a lot more on those because it's hard to rewire a new pattern. It takes a lot of effort and willpower. And those patterns are really strong. And so if we're constantly being triggered in our life, if we are constantly facing adversity, then we're going to be triggered back into those patterns more often than we'd like. And so we don't get to develop the new pattern. And so this is also where accountability and support come in to help move us along in our patterns and really see them so we create momentum that way. We're not struggling day to day. And so that's really getting into it. And through my program, the Emotional Eating Evolution program, there is a dedicated phase of the program for emotional wellness, going into these deep patterns, into these somatic meditations privately with me, and then doing it on your own and learning how to do that. And so that is so powerful to shifting you out of this pattern. But we also need other areas to help us. And so we need to really be looking at how we're nourishing our body and body acceptance. And why do we need to look at how we nourish our body? Part of the reason is that through diets in our society, we've been taught to restrict our body, to not nourish it well. And this creates its own whole host of issues with the way we are treating our body. We're not in tune with our body, and we're not strategic with our digestion, so we're not getting nourished. And we need to be physically strong in order to process emotions as well. Everything is really interconnected. And then our body acceptance, because of the society we live in, we create a lot of mental negativity towards ourselves that don't help us in our patterns as well and become their own patterns. So we need to relearn a new way to be with our body, relearn a new way to nourish ourselves, get into the root of the emotions and shift them. And then all of that combined really moves you out of the emotional eating pattern, out and into resolving it. And so, this is what I went through myself. Each of these pieces came together for me and helped me move out of my emotional eating. And it's probably been around 10 years since I've had a binge or an emotional eating episode. Of course, I never think that we can't eat when we are emotional. Food is comforting and there's a place for it, but we are not at the mercy of food. We're not taken over by food. We're really looking at our deep needs. And so if what I'm saying is resonating with you and you're looking for that support, that accountability, and a step-by-step plan to guide you through this process, then I'd love to invite you to book in an emotional eating assessment call. This call will help you and I get a better idea if the Emotional Eating Evolution program is a great fit for you and can help you through your own journey with emotional eating and, give you the tools and the empowerment to feel good in your life, to feel at ease in your body and around food. So if this is resonating with you, I'd love to invite you into that call. And if you have any questions, please be sure to leave them below. And please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. And I look forward to sharing more with you. And I hope you have a great day.